What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Explore the Adventure. This is Kyle. This is leaving off from my last video. In my last video, I was speaking to you about how I wasn't able to experience the vibrations for the past 2 or so months. And ironically, after the Friday that I created that video, on the following Saturday and Sunday, I ended up feeling the vibrations. So let's start with Saturday. On Saturday, I woke up around 8 in the morning. I went to the restroom. I went back to bed. My girlfriend ended up waking up and she decided that she would watch a few of her favorite series. So she put in some headphones and I decided to go back to sleep to see if I would experience the vibrations. So I went into that place of sleep where you're unconscious, but you're not so unconscious that everything's out of your control. There's a tiny bit of consciousness there where you're aware enough to know that you're sleeping. So in achieving that awareness, there was a thought process that went through my mind. There was a thought that basically said, release resistance. And releasing resistance and practicing non-resistance has been a part of my meditation lately. So I decided to just try and completely let go, but at the same time induce the vibrations. So I became successful. And the vibrations began to ensue. So the vibrations are happening. And I remember accelerating them to make them faster, and then they would start to decline, and then I would push them upwards so that their frequency would increase, and then they would decline downwards. And after a couple of these ups and downs, the vibrations stopped. After the vibrations stopped, that's the moment you're supposed to get up. So I decided to get up. Oh yeah, one interesting thing about this was I wasn't sleeping on my back. I was actually sleeping on my stomach. So this is completely different from what I've learned, what I was told to do, and what I've experienced. Well, actually, I believe I've experienced the vibrations while lying on my side as well. So you can really do it in any position. You just have to be familiar with how to induce the vibrations in the first place. I guess whatever you're most comfortable with. So yeah, after they stopped, I ended up getting up and I felt around. I wanted to make sure that I was in the astrals, because one new problem that I'm starting to become more consciously aware of is that when I get up, everything feels so real. Everything feels so real that I think I'm still in my physical body. But there's differences. There's very interesting differences between the reality of my actual room and the place that I'm actually in. Everything that I was experiencing looked like my room, but it wasn't. It's like, so, okay, first off, I was feeling around. I was feeling my bed. I couldn't phase through it. I felt the door near me. I still couldn't phase through that. So I assumed that it didn't work. But the difference between this room and reality was that when I looked down at my blanket, it was a complete darkish brown color. That's not the normal color of my blanket. It's actually a light bluish color. I looked to my girlfriend and she was actually asleep. She was wearing the headphones and she was sleeping, and one of the pillows was kind of on top of her head. And the headphones were loud enough for me to hear. So it's interesting because in that moment, I thought that because her headphones were on, it didn't allow me to project. It didn't allow the vibrations to happen. So I started to feel a little bit upset. But then in the next few moments, I actually ended up waking up, like for real waking up. And when I actually woke up, my blanket was blue again. I looked to her and she was sitting straight up, headphones on, and she was watching one of her series. I think a new season of Supergirl just came out on Netflix. So right when I actually woke up, that told me that what I experienced and where I was in that moment were two completely different places. It was a possible alternate reality, very similar to the one that I was experiencing in the moment. And you know, I don't like feeling upset towards her, and it's completely not her fault for, you know, listening to whatever she was watching when it was that loud, because she doesn't know that I'm trying to project Like, and the vibrations don't, come that often. Well, they'll just come when they come. And I'm getting better and better at inducing them, but still, yeah, that's really not her fault that she happened to be just sitting there watching something, or even when she moves around. It really isn't her problem that her doing nothing is interfering with me trying to astral project. So I just let that one go. So moving on to Sunday. Sunday morning, again, I woke up at about 8 a.m. I went to the restroom. I went back to bed. I decided to meditate on the edge of my bed again. It was about 15 minutes. So I went back to sleep. And somewhere in between that feeling of being deep unconsciously asleep but still being aware, I could feel my body kind of like tilting upwards. It's kind of like, imagine that this is your body, right? This is your head and this is your feet. What I was feeling was that my head was still tethered to my body, but there was a part of my body that was floating upwards like this. So while I was sleeping, I felt myself just like kind of tilting, floating upwards. It kind of reminds me of one of Robert Monroe's experiences where he would be floating around when he was just leaving his body, and there would be a part of himself that's still tethered to his body. So in becoming aware of that, I decided to induce the vibrations to help myself. So I induced it. I ended up oscillating it upwards and downwards. So after a couple cycles of that, again, I ended up in some sort of alternate reality that was still very similar to my own. And in this alternate reality, my girlfriend was actually awake, and she was kind of moving around. She was kind of pulling the blanket back to her. And because I was just getting out of the vibrations, and just because I was still trying to astral project, I started to feel upset again. And then she started to notice, and she said, "Hey baby, are you upset?" And then I kind of turned off that feeling of upsetness, because I realized, again, it's not her fault. So I just cuddled with her, I kissed her just to show her that, hey, I'm not upset, everything's fine. But what's interesting is that right when I actually woke up for real, she was in the exact same position that she was when I fell asleep. She was sleeping in the exact same position that I saw her to be in as I fell asleep just before I achieved the vibrations. So it's interesting. It's like, where did I go? Why are those realities so similar to our own? If there really is an infinite amount of alternate realities out there, then they really are just minutely different from each other. And it's kind of scary to think about, like, if it really is that way, then there's so many different realities where I decided to eat a salad instead of oatmeal today. There's probably an alternate reality where I decided to just drink tea instead of coffee. Party foul. That's a good cup. So yeah, you get my point. There's just a lot going on. So I think today is Friday, and I haven't felt the vibrations since Saturday or Sunday. And honestly, I'm just thankful in the first place that I even felt them. That's just a gift. And I know they're gonna keep on coming back. This should be my 10th vlog so far on this channel. I'm kind of thinking in my mind right now about the day where I reach 50 videos or 100 videos. I wonder where I'm going to be when I reach that point. I'm gonna share an experience with you. That I experienced about 1 or 2 years ago. So it was a time when I was smoking a lot of weed. And I remember going to bed one night just incredibly high. But for some reason, as I was falling asleep, I started to get intense visuals of a YouTube channel. I got intense visuals of a YouTube channel of me speaking to the camera. And I remember when I got this visual, when I was just scrolling through the channel, I saw tons and tons of videos of just me just talking to the camera. And for some reason, in these videos, it was nighttime. And I remember, it was generally nighttime in most of the videos, and I would be speaking and talking to the camera, and I was really impressed with how I was talking to the camera. So far with these videos that I'm creating now, none of them are at nighttime. At least I don't think. Yeah, no, all of them have been, most of them have been inside of my car and during the day. So, you know, I mean, there's always a difference between what you see in your mind and what actually comes true. I don't think it was anything precognitive. It possibly could have been. I just felt, because I felt so much emotion when I was looking at this channel, when I was looking at all of these videos, and it was just so cool. I felt like, wow, like I'm impressed, like look at all of that, it's all already there, I already did it. So I'm excited for where this channel is going to go. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but we're going to keep filming, we're going to keep documenting these astral projection incidences. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining me today. If you happen to like this vlog, then feel free to click the subscribe button, click the like button, and I will see you next time. Peace.